Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig Sports. Today is Thursday, so we're going to be taking a look at the Thursday Night Football Showdown Slate between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. So if you haven't seen this video before, essentially what I'm going to do is give you guys the player pool for both Draftkings and Fanduel for tonight, some core captain picks that are going to be on my list for playing tonight, and then kind of walk through a Draftkings and a Fanduel lineup, just kind of the process of building one. So we're going to start off with the player pool on the DraftKings side first. So Joe Burrow is $11,600. It's a little bit pricey, especially considering he hasn't thrown a lot of pass attempts, but I think he's still in play. I think both quarterbacks are in play on this slate. Trevor Lawrence below him here is $10,400. Yeah, there's going to be some turnovers there, but there's also some potential for yards and touchdowns as well. Joe Mixon at $11,000, probably one of my favorite plays on this slate just because he's been getting the work. Honestly, he's getting touches. He has an opportunity for touchdowns in this game, and he could definitely be the highest point scorer on this slate overall. Jamar Chase, $10,200. It's probably a fair price, honestly. He's been a little bit of an overperformer so far, but no T. Higgins once again should definitely help him out. I expect him to be the chalkiest play in the captain spot on the DraftKings side for sure. So maybe that's a little bit of an area if you want to make your lineups a little bit more unique. You just kind of pivot away from him in the captain spot. James Robinson had his best game of the season, so $9,400. Not the worst price in the world, but there still is that opportunity for him to kind of get Urban Meyered and just not produce. So he's not anybody I'm really looking at in captain spot for, $14,100. Regular flex spot, you can definitely make a case for him once again. Marvin Jones, I think, is somebody to definitely consider on this slate. He's been that top wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars so far. Tyler Boyd is $7,400. Could be a little bit underpriced here, especially, without T. Higgins on this slate. Probably a guy that a lot of people are overlooking, a decent captain play. I do have him as one of my core captain plays over on the side. There's definitely potential for him to have a decent game, especially playing in the slot going against Chris Claybrooks most of the night is probably going to be a matchup that favors him quite a bit. Bengals defense, $5,600. Not the worst play in the world. It's definitely in the player pool. Not anybody I want to play in the captain spot. They are a little bit overpriced, but there's still an opportunity for them, especially, if Trevor Lawrence comes out and throws a bunch of picks once again. Evan McPherson, the kicker, is the only kicker in play on this slate for $3,800. Josh Lambo is not playing. Matthew Wright will be replacing him, and he's not on either DraftKings or FanDuel tonight. So not that I'd play him anyways, but you don't even have the opportunity to either way. Then we got Carlos Hyde at $1,800. Not a bad price. There is an opportunity for Carlos Hyde. He's a decent plug-in, type of flex if you need to. Jamal Agnew obviously had the big missed field goal for a touchdown, I guess we'll call it, last week. He's very good in the return game. Doesn't play a lot on offense. $1,200. There's definitely worse plays you could have. Definitely if you're playing, 20 max, 150 max, he should definitely mix into a couple different lineups for you. Jacob Hollister at $10,000, probably one of my favorite plays on this whole slate. Likely to be the starting tight end. Yes, I know they just did trade for Dan Arnold, but he's probably not going to play tonight, honestly, because he's been with the team for like 2-3 days. So I just don't really see him playing. Jacob Hollister should be starting at tight end. He saw 6 targets last week. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity there for him in general. And, he's been somebody that's produced at times in the past. So $1,000 there. One of the better flex plays that you can play tonight. Then the last two are Mike Thomas and Auden Tate, $600 and $400 respectively. Wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 for the Cincinnati Bengals team. Kind of mentioned with Joe Burrow, he's not throwing the ball a ton, but these guys could see some opportunity tonight. So they're decent, flex plays to plug in if you need to. As far as core captain plays, once again, I do expect Jamar Chase to be the probably the most chalky, followed by Joe Burrow. So I'm not trying to be too much over the field on these guys. Probably a little bit underweight to the field in general. If it just isn't there for Jamar Chase, it's probably going to take your lineup. You can still play him as a flex spot as well. I do like Tyler Boyd just because so many people are playing Jamar Chase, and it's a good matchup for him. And I think, he's more that check down option for Joe Burrow if he needs to go there. Joe Mixon, like I already said, he's going to get the touches. He's got potential touchdown upside in this game. He's one of my favorite captain plays on the whole slate. In terms of the Jacksonville side, Marvin Jones probably my favorite captain play over there. Top wide receiver, and if you're playing him in the captain spot, you definitely want to put Trevor Lawrence in the flex spot. So we're going to go with Trevor Lawrence as one of the other core captain plays. There is a potential for upside for him there, but it is a little bit riskier. So he's probably somebody I'll get to in some lineups. Might be a little bit overweight to the field. It just kind of depends on how people are feeling at Trevor Lawrence on this point in time. Obviously, he still has that big name. Then on the Fanduel side, we got Joe Burrow, $15,000. He's the most expensive player in this slate. There is the upside there, but once again, pass attempts are a little bit of question mark so far this season. Joe Mixon, probably one of my favorite plays again at $14,000, definitely in play. Jamar Chase is $12,500. I expect him to be a popular captain play on the Fanduel side as well. If you see on the Fanduel side, I don't even have him listed there just because I don't think he's worth it on the Fanduel side compared to what the field's going to be at for him. Marvin Jones, $11,500, definitely in play once again. James Robinson, $12,000. I don't think it's the worst price in the world, but it's probably not somebody I'm getting to quite a bit tonight. Tyler Boyd at $10,000 is a guy that I do like quite a bit on FanDuel as well. Laviska Shenault makes the cut on the FanDuel side, but not on the DraftKings side. I think $8,500 is a decent price for him there. Haven't seen too much upside out of him so far this season, though. Then $8,000 for Carlos Hyde. It's not the best price in the world, but there is still opportunity for it to pay off. CJ Uzomah at $7,500. It's not something I'm excited about, but he's kind of there, and you can fill him in if you need to. I'd rather just go down to Jacob Hollister at $7,000, kind of like I talked about on the DraftKings side already. And then last but not least, you got Auden Tate and Mike Thomas once again. They're just cheap salary relief guys if you need to go there. As far as core captain plays go, I still expect Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow probably to be the chalkiest options. So we're looking more at Joe Mixon, Marvin Jones, Tyler Boyd, and maybe a little bit of Trevor Lawrence again. So Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd honestly are my favorite captain plays on both sites, which is kind of rare because on FanDuel there's no extra price up for some of the other players. So a lot of times you see somebody that's a little bit pricier on the DraftKings side or a quarterback make your way into your lineup for that MVP spot on FanDuel. But with that being said, we'll get over to DraftKings. We'll build a lineup real quick. So I'm going to start out this one with Tyler Boyd in the captain spot. We're going to play Joe Mixon in the regular flex spot. If we're playing Tyler Boyd, we're going to end up playing Joe Burrow just because it is his quarterback. And I'm going to put Jacob Hollister in as well because he's probably I don't want to say that I'm going to be super overweight to the field, but he's probably going to be in 80% of my lineups just because that is a super good price in general. And then in this case, I really don't mind playing both quarterbacks. So if we do that, we got $4,900 left over. You can look at guys like CJ Uzomah, Evan McPherson. In this case, I'll probably just put McPherson in. There's a little bit of money left over if you want to change it around a little bit. You could play CJ Uzomah and be a little bit closer to your cap too, but I don't mind this lineup. It's one that I've kind of messed around and built with last night. We're going to go back real quick and put Joe Mixon in the captain spot and just kind of play that one out and see what it looks like as well. And honestly, we got Joe Mixon in that captain spot, but we're going to play some of the other side. I think we're going to play some Marvin Jones, some Trevor Lawrence. So Joe Mixon is going to be kind of lead guy for the Bengals, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars are trying to catch up in this game. So we're going to go back to Hollister once again. $13,500 left over. You could go a lot of different directions here if you really want to. You could go a Joe Burrow if you really wanted to, and then you could go Carlos Hyde. That's an option there. You could do a DJ Chark or Laviska Shenault. Since we have Marvin Jones Jr., we're going to play with Laviska instead of DJ Chark. And then we got $6,900 left over, so we got backup quarterback territory. We got kind of this limbo land once again, too, where you got Uzomah and Evan McPherson. So maybe you switch some things up a little bit here and there, but there is a lot of different opportunities there. If we go DJ Chark, still kind of in that same range as well. So there's a lot of different options out there on tonight's slate. Just kind of go in, like I always say, go in, mess around, see what works for you. Just try to build that story narrative as you're going throughout your lineup. But definitely a lot of different opportunities on tonight's slate. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel real quick. So we're going to build a lineup over here as well. So you can go Tyler Boyd or Joe Mixon in the captain spot. In this case, I don't think it matters too much. So we're going to go Joe Mixon. We'll go Trevor Lawrence as well. And then we're going to go down to Marvin Jones Jr. because he is my favorite play to plug and play with Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of different options on FanDuel. You can go a DJ Chark if you want to go there as well. You can go Laviska Shenault. You can go down to Jacob Hollister, who I've been talking up quite a bit. If you do Jacob Hollister, you have $13,000. So you could go Jamar Chase as well. So we got Trevor Lawrence with 2 pass catching options, Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, who are probably your 2 most likely options to score a touchdown for the Cincinnati Bengals. So that covers a lot of different aspects there as well. We're going to go clear this out real quick. We're going to go to Tyler Boyd, who is $10,000. And in this case, since we're playing Tyler Boyd, we'll play Joe Burrow as well. You can also play Jamar Chase in this lineup if you want to as well. So we could go like a Trevor Lawrence here. We have $8,000, so you could do a Jacob Hollister there. You could go like full on Cincinnati. You could play Joe Mixon and Laviska Shenault. That is an option too. So you could do something like this where you go 4-1 stack. So you got Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. So his 2 pass catching options here, Joe Mixon, and then Laviska Shenault on the bring back. So there is a couple different options out there tonight. Like I said, definitely just go in, spend like an hour or so just playing around, building some lineups, building some narratives, just see what really works for you on tonight's slate. But with that being said, that's pretty much all I got for today's video. And then one other thing too before I get out of here today. I do have a special announcement. It was something that I didn't announce on Twitter last night as well. So I just started up my Patreon page. So it's patreon.com/CoachCraigSports. So on there, if you do choose to be a patron, you'll get access to a bunch of different information. So for the regular patrons, you're going to get access to my snap count spreadsheets. So that's for offense and defense. You get access to my NFL matchup sheet. It's pretty much a moving depth chart for teams. There is defensive linemen, linebackers, and cornerbacks. For the linebackers and cornerbacks, it also grades them out, as green as guys that you want to target. So if you're playing fantasy football or DFS that week, you're going to want to play the player that's playing against them. Yellow, kind of neutral, and the red players to avoid, essentially. And then with that being said, there is data from last year as far as cornerbacks go, linebackers go, pulled, from different sites like Player Profile, PFF. Then for this year, there's where the wide receivers, tight ends, and cornerbacks have all been lining up. So wide receivers, left, right, slot. Cornerbacks, left, right, slot. And then tight ends is inline, slot, and out wide. So it's a pretty useful tool as well. It's something that I do use personally myself. Then you're going to get access to my 2022 NFL Draft prospect notes and grade spreadsheet when that does come out in time. So that's the basic tier. And then if you want to do the upgrade tier, it's a DFS plus tier. So you're going to get my weekly player pool, kind of like this video where part of it's going to be in this video too, because there is the Thursday Night Football player pool and core captain plays in there as well. But it does include the Monday night and Sunday night football games as well. The main slates for Draftkings, Fanduel, and Super Draft. So, and then for the regular tier, I'll be doing a private stream once a week, essentially just kind of looking at the snap counts, looking at anything when I was putting in the data for the snap counts for where players have been lining up. If there's anything that really stood out for me, just go through it, break it down real quick, just give you guys a general overview for the week and kind of any changes if there were any. And then for the DFS Plus tier, I'm going to be doing 2 live streams a week. So one's probably going to be on Tuesday, taking a look at the prices, kind of reacting to them as they first come out. And then Saturday evening, going to be going through, talking about some core picks, talking about some values that I do like on the slate, maybe some guys that I'm fading, any questions that you may have as well. So essentially, that's the brief little rundown on my Patreon. If you're interested at all, definitely be sure to check it out at patreon.com/CoachCraigSports. I'll leave a link in the description below as well. And with that being said, these are tools that have been helpful for myself, and I'm excited to share them with you as well. But with that being said, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your fantasy football teams, helping you with DFS, whether it's NFL or NBA, covering all the NFL news, talking some 2022 NFL draft prospects as we get closer to the 2022 NFL draft. And with that being said, if you are new or current subscriber who's yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below, let you know every single time I post up a new video. Tomorrow will be Friday's video, which is the Dollar Store Stack series. So that's definitely an interesting one. Definitely great if you are a DFS player looking forward to the main slate. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. Definitely do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.